The afternoon sun was streaming through my office window last Tuesday when little Timothy, my great-grandson, visited with his mother. As he watched me slowly rise from my chair, his innocent 6-year-old eyes grew wide. "Grandpa Doctor," he said with that brutal honesty only children possess, "why do you walk like you're carrying heavy rocks in your pockets?" The room fell silent. His mother was mortified, but I just smiled. You know, that question stopped me in my tracks, not just physically but emotionally, because Timothy had inadvertently asked the very question I've spent the last 30 years of my medical career trying to answer. How many of you have caught your reflection while struggling to climb stairs? Or felt embarrassed when you couldn't keep up with friends just a few years younger? Or worse, seen that look of pity in your own children's eyes when you struggle to stand up from the dinner table? I'm Dr. Harold Myers, and at 92 years old, I'm still practicing medicine 3 days a week. Not because I need to. Heaven knows my wife Margaret would prefer I spend more time in our garden, but because after 65 years in medicine, I've discovered something so profound about aging that I simply cannot retire. You see, for 6 decades, I've watched thousands of patients move through my practice. I've seen vigorous 60-year-olds deteriorate into frail 70-year-olds, and I've seen 80-year-olds with the mobility and vitality of people decades younger. The difference wasn't always what you might think, not just genetics or luck. It was something much simpler, and it was right beneath us the whole time. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a patient who came to see me last year. At 83, she arrived in a wheelchair, pushed by her daughter. Eleanor's head hung low and she wouldn't make eye contact. When I asked what brought her in, it wasn't Eleanor who answered. It was her daughter. "Dad passed away 6 months ago," she explained, "and Mom's just given up. She can barely walk to the bathroom now. The grandkids are afraid to visit because last time she fell trying to hug them. When I finally coaxed Eleanor to speak, what she said broke my heart. 'I'm just old, doctor. This is what happens, isn't it? We become burdens.' I see this shame, this resignation, this acceptance of decline every single day in my practice. I see the isolation when seniors can no longer walk confidently to their community center. I see the loss of dignity when they need help getting out of a car. I see the fear of falling that keeps them prisoners in their own homes. And what's most tragic is that much of this decline isn't inevitable. Not even close. You've been told that aging means gradual deterioration. You've been told that aches, instability, and weakness are just part of getting older. You've watched your friends slow down one by one and thought, that will be me soon. What? If I told you the medical establishment has been focusing on the wrong things all along? You see, the conventional wisdom about aging has overlooked something fundamental. While everyone's worried about wrinkles, heart health, and memory, all important, of course, they've missed where aging truly begins and accelerates. In your legs. The science is actually quite clear, but rarely discussed outside geriatric specialty journals. As we age, the first major system to show measurable decline isn't our skin, our heart, or even our mind. It's our lower extremity, neuromuscular system. Simply put, our legs age faster than the rest of us. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that by age 75, the average person has lost 30% of the motor neurons in their legs. That's not normal aging. That's accelerated decline that triggers a cascade effect throughout your entire body. Here's what happens. When your legs weaken, you move less. When you move less, your cardiovascular system weakens. This reduces oxygen to all tissues, including your brain. Cognitive function decreases, balance worsens, and suddenly you're in a dangerous spiral of decline. But here's what they never told you. This process isn't your fault, and it isn't inevitable. The truth is that standard medical practice has failed you. While doctors prescribe pills for blood pressure, cholesterol, and diabetes, almost none are addressing the root cause of aging-related decline, progressive leg weakness that begins as early as age 50. I promised myself years ago that I wouldn't retire until more people understood this simple truth. Aging starts in the legs, but that's also exactly where we can stop it. Now, I'm about to share something with you that has transformed the lives of hundreds of my patients. It's not a pill, it's not an expensive treatment, and it doesn't require any special equipment. It's a simple daily protocol that takes just 12 minutes, costs absolutely nothing, and can literally restore decades of youth to your body. I've seen patients who couldn't walk to their mailbox dance at their grandchildren's weddings just months later. I've watched men and women who thought their independence was gone for good regain the confidence to travel, to garden, to live fully again. And the best part? You'll feel the difference in just 7 days, with measurable improvements that others will notice within 3 weeks. Before I share the exact protocol, let me be clear. This isn't about high-intensity exercise or anything that puts strain on your joints. This isn't about exhausting yourself or risking injury. It's about reactivating neural pathways, restoring circulation patterns, and rebuilding the foundational strength that your body was designed to maintain well into your 90s. I call it the Vital Legs Protocol, and it consists of 4 simple steps that I'll walk you through now. Step 1. Morning neuromuscular activation. This first step must be done immediately upon waking, before you even get out of bed. Lie on your back and take 3 deep breaths. Now point and flex each foot 20 times, moving slowly and deliberately. Feel the stretch in your calf with each movement. Next, make 15 small circles with each ankle, first clockwise, then counterclockwise. Finally, while still lying down, bend your knees and simply tap your feet rapidly on the bed for 30 seconds, as if you're gently running in place. What's happening here? You're reactivating dormant neural pathways that connect your brain to your legs. You see, overnight these connections weaken slightly. Most young people reactivate them automatically, but as we age, we need to do it consciously. This simple sequence takes just 2 minutes, but primes your nervous system for proper movement all day. If mobility is particularly challenging for you, I have a modification. Simply do these movements for half the repetitions, and instead of the running motion, just wiggle your toes vigorously for 30 seconds. The key is consistency, not intensity. Step 2. The standing circulation sweep. This second step should be done right after your morning bathroom routine. Stand holding onto your bathroom sink or counter. Shift your weight gently to your right leg and use your left foot to make a sweeping motion on the floor, as if you're sweeping sand away from your body, 10 times forward and 10 times to the side. Then shift your weight and repeat with the other foot next, and this is crucial. Do 10 gentle mini squats, lowering yourself just an inch or 2 while holding the sink. If that's too challenging, even shifting your weight side to side 10 times will help. For those with severe stability issues, simply hold the counter with both hands and shift your weight from foot to foot. If you can maintain your balance safely, try doing this without holding on, but always have support nearby. What's happening physiologically is remarkable. This sequence restores proper blood flow through the small vessels in your legs that tend to become dormant overnight. These microvessels are essential for delivering nutrients to your muscles and removing waste products. The gentle weight-shifting motion also retrains your proprioception, your body's awareness of its position in space, which is critical for preventing falls. For those who use a walker or cane, adapt by doing seated leg sweeps, followed by standing and sitting from your chair 5 times while holding your support device. Step 3. The Midday Muscle Memory Minute. This third step is the most convenient because you can do it anywhere, anytime. I tell my patients to set an alarm for 2 p.m. each day. When it goes off wherever you are, take 60 seconds to rise up onto your toes and back down 10 times. Then do 10 mini squats, just slightly bending your knees, and finally march in place for 20 seconds, lifting your knees as high as is comfortable. If you're in public and feel self-conscious, simply find a private spot like a restroom, or even do modified versions while seated. Point and flex your feet under the table, do seated marching, or simply press your feet firmly into the floor for 5 seconds at a time. The science behind this midday activation is fascinating. By midday, your leg muscles have already begun to reduce their neural activation by up to 30% compared to morning levels. This brief sequence resets that decline, preventing the afternoon shuffling that many seniors experience. For those with arthritis or joint pain, reduce the repetitions to 5 of each movement and never push through pain. Gentle activation, not discomfort, is our goal. Step 4. The evening circulation renewal. This final step must be done in the evening, ideally while watching television or reading before bed. Sit comfortably in a chair and place a small towel on the floor. With bare feet, use your toes to scrunch the towel toward you, then push it away 10 times with each foot. Next, lift one leg straight out in front of you, hold for 3 seconds, then lower it. Repeat 5 times with each leg. Finally, and this is perhaps the most important part, with your feet flat on the floor, press your toes down into the floor while lifting your heels and the arches of your feet for 5 seconds, then relax. Do this 10 times. If mobility is limited, simply do the toe scrunching and pressing motions while keeping both feet on the floor. This evening routine reactivates the venous pumps in your lower legs, which tend to become sluggish as we age. These pumps are critical for preventing fluid accumulation, reducing nighttime leg cramps, and ensuring proper circulation during sleep. Poor nighttime circulation is a major contributor to the morning stiffness that so many seniors struggle with. For those with diabetes or peripheral neuropathy, this sequence is especially important as it helps maintain sensation in the feet and lower legs, potentially slowing the progression of neuropathy. Now, I want to emphasize something crucial. Consistency trumps intensity with this protocol. It's far better to do these gentle movements every single day than to do a strenuous workout once a week. The magic lies in the daily activation of these systems. Let me tell you about Walter, a 79-year-old former high school science teacher who came to me after a minor fall left him afraid to leave his house. His son had moved him into the ground floor guest room because the stairs had become too challenging. When I first suggested this protocol, Walter was skeptical. "Doc," he said, "I was a track coach for 40 years. You're telling me wiggling my toes and doing baby squats is going to get me back up those stairs?" But Walter trusted me and followed the protocol faithfully. At our 4-week follow-up, his son pulled me aside before the appointment. "I don't know what you did," he said with tears in his eyes, "but Dad moved back upstairs last week, and yesterday I found him in the backyard cleaning out the bird feeders, something he hasn't done in over a year." When I examined Walter, his leg strength had improved by 40%, and his balance scores were comparable to those of an average 65-year-old, a 14-year improvement in just 1 month. Then there's Marianne, an 86-year-old grandmother who had stopped attending her weekly bridge club because the 4 steps up to her friend's home had become too difficult to navigate. The social isolation was taking a toll on her mental health, and her daughter was considering assisted living options. Marianne was diligent about following the protocol, and she added one simple modification. She placed a sticky note on her bathroom mirror, her refrigerator, and her TV remote to remind her to do each step. After just 3 weeks, she not only returned to Bridge Club but surprised everyone by bringing her famous blueberry cobbler, something she hadn't baked in months because standing in the kitchen had become too painful. The most wonderful part, she told me with tears in her eyes, wasn't even being able to climb those steps again. It was when my 5-year-old great-granddaughter ran up to hug me, and for the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of being knocked over. Perhaps the most remarkable case was Harold, a 91-year-old widower who lived alone and had been using a walker for 3 years. Harold's goal wasn't ambitious by most standards. He simply wanted to walk to his community mailbox unassisted to retrieve his letters. It was about 100 yards from his front door. Harold modified the protocol to fit his capabilities. He did the morning activation while sitting on the edge of his bed. He did the standing circulation sweep while holding onto his walker. The midday activation he did seated, and the evening routine he performed faithfully every night during the evening news. 6 weeks later, Harold sent me a photograph that still hangs in my office today. A selfie of him standing at the community mailbox, smiling broadly, no walker in sight. The caption read, "First solo trip to get the mail in 127 days. Thank you for giving me my dignity back." These aren't rare success stories or unusual results. This is what happens when we address aging where it truly begins, in our legs, rather than simply accepting decline as inevitable. You know, when I was in medical school nearly 70 years ago, we were taught that aging was a one-way street, that decline was natural and expected. But 7 decades of medical practice has taught me something different. Much of what we call aging is actually just the accumulated effect of disuse, poor circulation, and lost neural connections. And the wonderful news is that all of those things can be restored, reactivated, and renewed at any age. I've seen patients in their late 90s make remarkable improvements with this protocol. I've watched people who believed their best days were behind them discover a whole new chapter of vitality and independence, and I've experienced it myself. At 92, I still see patients, still drive, still garden with my wife, and still play with my great-grandchildren on the floor because I practice what I preach. Every single morning, I do these exact same movements before my feet ever touch the floor. So let me speak directly to you now, not just as a doctor, but as a fellow traveler on this journey we call aging. It's never too late. Your body has an astonishing capacity for renewal well into your 90s and beyond. The keys to maintaining your independence, your dignity, and your joy don't lie in expensive treatments or miracle pills. They lie in these simple daily habits that honor the fundamental needs of your aging body. Try this protocol for just 7 days. That's all I ask. 7 days of these simple movements, morning, midday, and evening. Notice how your body feels differently when you wake up on day 8. Notice how stairs seem a little less daunting, how your balance feels a bit more secure, how your energy lasts a little longer into the afternoon. In 21 days, ask a loved one if they notice a difference in how you move. I promise you, they will. They'll see a change in your gait, your confidence, your willingness to engage physically with the world around you. And in 90 days, that's when the true transformation occurs. That's when patients tell me they feel decades younger. That's when they start planning trips again, returning to hobbies they'd abandoned, and engaging fully with life. Remember little Timothy, my great-grandson who asked why I walked like I had rocks in my pockets? Well, 6 months after that question, we were playing catch in the backyard, something I couldn't have done when he first asked. As we tossed the ball back and forth, he looked at me curiously and said, "Grandpa Doctor, did you take the rocks out of your pockets? Out of the mouths of babes, as they say. You don't have to accept the rocks in your pockets either. You don't have to accept the shuffle, the hesitation on stairs, the fear of falling, or the gradual surrender of activities you love. Aging may start in the legs, but that's exactly where you can begin to write a different story for yourself. Starting now, with nothing more than these simple movements, and your commitment to performing them each day. If you found value in today's video, please consider subscribing to our channel for more evidence-based advice on aging well. And if you know someone who's struggling with mobility, someone who's beginning to withdraw from life because their legs aren't supporting them the way they once did, please share this video with them. You might just be sharing the key that unlocks many more years of independence and joy. Thank you for spending this time with me today. This is Dr. Harold Myers wishing you strong legs and a vibrant life, no matter your age. Remember, it's never, ever too late to become younger.